If you are a crypto holder, you do not want Labour to be in power. So in this video, I'm going to get into all of the things that would happen in the crypto world if Nigel Farage, the head of the Reform Party, were to get into power. Even if they don't get into outright power, which seems very unlikely at this point, we need them to be in and around the conversation. Because even if you don't like reform or you don't like Nigel Farage, it's not important. What is important is that you actually have an opportunity to change your life with the knowledge that you've gained in cryptocurrency. Any other party is not going to allow you to do that as well or as effectively as reform. So I'm going to get into the manifesto, or Nigel's contract with the people, to look at the policies that he has in there and, in a level-headed way, look at how that might affect the crypto market if Nigel Farage was in power. This is what would happen to crypto if Nigel Farage wins the UK election. Now, we all know that CBDCs are coming in thick and fast. We know that by 2027, we're going to have wholesale CBDCs. That's the CBDC that the banks are using between each other. But then from 2027 to 2030, that's when we get the retail CBDC. That's a CBDC that you and I are controlled by. So everything that we talk about in terms of 15-minute cities or restricting spending and all of that stuff on, let's say, meat products that you're not allowed to have because the agenda is to move everyone away from meat. You can actually do those things if you have blockchain and cryptocurrency in play. So the pushing towards CBDCs can be seen as quite a negative move, certainly when you're looking at the sovereignty of individuals in the country, being independent, having freedom of thought, all of these things, freedom of movement. These things are going to be jeopardized when we have CBDCs in play. So if Nigel Farage were in power, we would certainly have this opposition to a CBDC environment. Now, I'm not here to say that CBDCs are a bad idea. I actually think wholesale CBDCs can benefit many of the investments that we've made on this channel so far. And really, if it's just between bank and bank, it doesn't really matter. They can just do their thing. It's when it comes to the retail CBDC that I have slightly more issue. It's about being able to trace identity on the blockchain. It's about being able to restrict spending wherever the government doesn't want spending to take place. Or you can even put in that radius of where you live, that your money won't work outside of that radius. Imagine that kind of thing happening. Even the integration of blockchain into the automotive industry, being able to shut people's cars off, being able, if we're all going electric, perhaps there's some extra control going to happen there. And so Reform UK really wants to create the opposition argument against CBDCs. And I have to say, on the retail side of things, we should probably be looking for other ways to do this outside of a retail CBDC. So you can imagine, if Nigel Farage were in power, CBDCs wouldn't get very far in the UK. Now, take that however you want to. Kind of think there's a really good reason for that opposition. But also, if you take the oppositional approach and you land somewhere in the middle, it's likely that that's probably a good place anyway. Now, one of the big things that Nigel Farage is pushing is the economy and tax simplification. Now, the tax code right now in the UK is 21,000 pages long. 21,000 pages. It is no wonder that the average person can't get ahead of taxes or understand how to mitigate taxes. When it's 21,000 pages, how are we ever going to understand and grasp that? Well, he's actually reducing that down to now 500 pages, or certainly he would if he were in power. He would also be raising the income tax threshold, meaning you only get taxed at a higher amount. That means that everyday individuals like you and I, certainly in our crypto, we can get a little bit further in our journey before we even start paying tax. This is really leaning us towards small and medium-sized businesses and the everyday person. That is like 95% of people fall within that category. And not only that, the reformation of corporation tax, reducing it down to basically zero for small and medium businesses, is a game changer if you're in crypto. Let me tell you why. If you're holding crypto as a person right now, that's actually the best way to hold it in the current system, because when you actually get taxed, you only really get taxed on the capital gain. But when you have your crypto held in a company right now, you end up getting kind of double taxed. You get corporation tax, you get capital gains tax, and even income tax if you're generating an income from that cryptocurrency. So the way the system is right now, and it will only get worse if Labour is elected, is because you actually stand no chance to get anywhere in your investments. You might have all of the brains in the world. You might have all the sovereignty of mind. You might know what the next big wave is. You're predicting the internet before the internet. That's what you're doing here in crypto. You're just not being given the chance to get there in the first place because they make the first hurdle so high that you'll never get over. If reform was in power and that corporation tax was completely reduced down to 0, for example, if you're a small to medium crypto holder and you put your crypto into a company, you would now remove corporation tax from that company. So any earnings made from that corporation would be tax-free. Of course, you've got to go to a tax professional and stuff. I'm not your guy. But the point is, you can shuffle around your crypto investments to best suit this in a tax-efficient way. This lowers the threshold, lowers that first hurdle to actually give you a shot at making something out of this. We all are in crypto to change our financial situation, but the system hinders us from doing so. If reform were in power, that hurdle would be gone. And not only that, if that were the case about the corporation tax, how many crypto and blockchain companies would start moving to the UK? Right now, we're moving out of the UK, literally moving out of the UK. When I talk to my accountant, he talks about his clients going to other countries now because it's just too much here. And it's only going to get worse with Labour. All of these people are basically going to Dubai to set up their companies. Why are they going to Dubai? Oh, it's probably something to do with that 0% tax thing. If that were the case for small and medium businesses, how many startups and entrepreneurs in the blockchain and crypto space would come over to the UK and create this economy from within the UK? We truly would be a hub of cryptocurrency, not the hub that Rishi Sunak's talking about, which actually turns out to be, oh yes, we're all open to crypto, and then bear hugs you with that regulation so no one can get anywhere with it. That's what Rishi Sunak has done. It will only get worse with Labour. The Reform Party is actually opening up the possibility for you to actually make something from crypto, do something with it, and be a spotlight for the entire globe looking at the UK as a hub, a true hub for crypto. And you have to do that with tax-aligned incentives. And another thing about reform is Nigel Farage's history with Brexit. Now, of course, he was one of those people pushing that Brexit party and really tipped it over the line to where we ended up leaving. Now, I don't care what you think about that, but if you're in crypto, this is super important. Because if you are a truly sovereign and independent state, being the UK, leaving the EU, you actually create the potential for regulation, specific tailored regulation to take place in the UK. Not regulation that's listening to the rest of Europe or listening to America or listening to Asia. We're listening to ourselves only. And if Nigel Farage were in power and we were listening to his ideas for taxation, the regulation surrounding cryptocurrency and blockchain would also follow suit. It would be completely tailored to the UK, potentially making the UK, again, adding to that argument of being a hub, a true hub for crypto and blockchain, which of course will advance the economy of the country that that hub exists in. If you want the economy in the UK to grow, you need crypto and blockchain to be involved. More than that, if you invite crypto businesses and blockchain businesses in, you incentivize brilliant people to come in who understand where this is all going in the future. And we can create such technological innovation within the blockchain space that it can even serve to improve the country as a whole. The way our transport systems work, the way our import and export systems work, this is all falling underneath blockchain. Many of you watching this video won't actually understand that, but blockchain can revolutionize the way the UK do business, making it even more desirable to do business with the UK. So if we can create our own regulations, have our own tax laws and legislations about cryptocurrency, and we can even adapt our systems to work on the blockchain in the most efficient way and removing the negative sides that rid us of our sovereignty and independence, like retail CBDCs, we could become an incredible country and economy. Now, this is going to be a bit left field, but it's all going to tie in at the end and make complete sense here. I think the majority of people in this country, if you truly ask yourselves, should drag queens be teaching in our schools? The answer is no. This is a straight, flat answer of no. These woke ideologies that are being pushed in the UK and across the world are continuing to develop and will develop at a faster speed if Labour are in power. I don't care about left or right. That's not really what I'm going for here. But if you lean too heavy on one side, the other side gets silenced. And when you have a silencing of one side, there is no longer such a thing as free speech. And everyone should have the ability to say what they want. So we need to find balance. And with Reform UK, you would get a balance of left and right-wing ideologies. I was even watching Nigel Farage do a live thing in Sunderland today. And he said he wants to provide balanced arguments in schools. He wants children to see both sides of the argument. And this is super important because when you have free speech and resistance to ideological control on either side, the opportunity for good conversation to happen about decentralization and cryptocurrency and blockchain is created. It fosters a community that allows that kind of conversation to happen. And when that conversation happens, it's very clear that crypto and blockchain will improve almost every sector of our economy and of our country if handled correctly. It creates an environment that values privacy, that will value autonomy, and ultimately the freedom of every individual in the UK. So I would say this: if you're on the fence and you don't really care about politics, you don't really know what's going on, but you do have cryptocurrency, it is fully within your interest to vote for reform to get these things over the line. We can see what they're doing with tax. If you're only here to try to make some money and you don't care about the other politics of it all, then you might as well just vote for reform, because they're going to be the only positive voice in your favor in the crypto world. This is really our chance to start growing the seeds, sowing the seeds of a future that actually allows the small people, you and I, to actually move forward and seize an opportunity when it comes. If there is no hope, we have no opportunity of growth in the future or changing our lives in the future. No hope means slavery. Do not be a slave to the system. Break free and vote for something or someone that can actually give you the keys to where you want to go, you've always wanted to go. And it's my opinion, I think it's probably been very clear here, that Labour, Conservative, Liberal, Democrat, none of these parties are going to help you get to where you want to go. Reform will. So if you're sitting on the sidelines, go and vote on July the 4th. This is my political piece here. Reform is clearly the best by far if you're a crypto holder, an investor, or a business owner, or you would like to become one of those. Think about it.